Oh, is that who that is? I never met him.
Okay, I believe that we are now ready to call our meeting to order. So let's call our meeting for March 22nd, 2022 for the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission to order. First item on the agenda is to verify a quorum.
Okay. AJ Mosqueda,
Present.
Ron Rice, Scott Mulhern,
Here.
Tim Bowers,
Here.
Jim Allen,
Here.
Danny Bryant,
Here,
Matias Rosales,
Present, a bit present.
50%.
Gary Black, Bobby McDermott, Ron Van Wy.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Very good. Let's stand and join me. I'll need to send the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I have a bit of housekeeping I will read. If you parked in the rear employee gated parking lot, please move your vehicle to the front north parking lot to avoid having your vehicle locked in. Please sign in at the sign-up sheet by the rear door. If you speak tonight, make sure that you state your name and address for the record before speaking. When you do speak, please address your comments to the chairman, not to the audience and not to staff. Get it? Then I will direct those comments if someone needs to respond. We do have a 3-minute timer. We seldom use it. We don't expect to have to use it tonight, but if it's necessary, the chairman has the option to start the 3-minute timer. If you have handouts to give to the commission, give them to staff, and staff will distribute them and make them part of the permanent record. The same if you have information on the overhead projector, give staff a copy and it will become a part of the permanent record. Restrooms and drinking fountains are just down the hall behind us. Feel free to use those facilities as needed. And please, no food or beverages other than water in the meeting room. We have 2 new commissioners here tonight, so I want to welcome AJ and Jim to their first Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Ron Van Wy, this is his second one. You made it last month. So we have 3 within the last 60 days. Any hard questions, we'll direct to them. Next item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular minutes of our February 22nd, 2022 meeting. Has everybody reviewed those?
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we approve the minutes for February 22nd, 2002.
We have a motion by Commissioner McDermott with a second by Commissioner Van Wy to approve the February 22nd, 2022 minutes as published. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes stand approved. Item number 4 on tonight's agenda, rezoning case number 22-03. Adrian Vega from Dahl Robbins and Associates, agent for Armando Puga, requests the zoning of partial 5.9 acres in size from Suburban Ranch 4 to Suburban Ranch 2. Stafford, yes.
Mr. Commissioner, I need to recuse myself from rezoning case number 22-03. I'm currently employed by the agent for the owner.
Let the record show that Commissioner Mulhern has declared a conflict as he is an employee of the agent for rezoning case number 22-03, will not participate in discussion or action on this item. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Anson Lahosset, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case 2203. Adrian Vega of Dahl Robbins and Associates, agent for Armando Puga, requests to rezone a parcel 5.9 gross acres in size from Suburban Ranch 4-acre minimum to Suburban Ranch 2-acre minimum. The subject parcel is located within the Yuma Mesa planning area, and the intent is to divide the property into 2 residential lots. The vicinity and zoning maps show the subject parcel in red crosshatched. Parcel 5 to the north and 6 to the east are zoned SR2 and improved with site-built homes. Parcel 8 to the east is zoned SR2 and is improved with a manufactured home. Parcel 41 to the southeast is zoned SR2 and is in agricultural production. Parcels 43 and 14 to the south and southwest are zoned SR2 and are developed with site-built homes. Parcel 2 to the west is zoned SR3 and is in agricultural production. This is an aerial photo. The majority of the subject parcel is fallow and flat. The north end of the parcel is used for the storage of large trucks and is enclosed with a chain link fence equipped with barbed wire on top. There is a concrete lined irrigation ditch along the east side of the parcel. This is the site plan submitted by the applicant. And this is an image looking north from County 18th Street. During a site visit to the subject parcel, staff noticed what appears to be an existing commercial use at the northern end. It seems to be a truck parking or transportation business based on the parking of semi-trucks and sign at the front of the parcel. Staff was unable to locate permits on the use or the sign. The SR2 zoning district does not allow overnight truck parking or travel plaza truck stop as permitted uses. This unpermitted use could be addressed as a condition if approved by the board. The property is currently 5 acres in size and is used for general agricultural purposes. Pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 11-812A2, the property is exempt from zoning in its current configuration and can continue to be used for the storage of semi-trucks. Once the property is split into 2 parcels, the storage of semi-trucks will no longer be allowed. Staff received no comments from residents within the zoning notification area. Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, requested an aviation easement disclosure statement due to the parcel's proximity to a known flight path. Staff recommends approval for rezoning case number 2203, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the Board of Supervisors, the owner, agent, or agent shall provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver, record an aviation disclosure statement, an infrastructure disclosure statement, an agricultural disclosure statement, and a schedule for development disclosure statement. And schedule for development. Within 1 year of approval by the Board of Supervisors, the owner or agent shall split the property by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County Zoning Ordinance, record an ingress-egress easement 20 feet in width along the east property line to provide emergency vehicle access to the northern parcel, proposed northern parcel. Within 1 year of approval by the Board of Supervisors, the owner shall apply for and obtain a grading permit. 1 second. I believe there is a mistake on schedule for development 1. It should read along the west property line in condition 1 of the schedule for development, that the ingress-egress easement 20 feet in width along the west property line to provide emergency vehicle access for the proposed northern parcel. 2, within 1 year of approval by the Board of Supervisors, the owner shall apply for and obtain a grading permit from the Department of Development Services to improve the ingress-egress easement referred to in Item 1 as an access-built road in a dust-free condition by an application of aggregate base course ABC covered by a penetration and chip seal coat referred to attachment standard number B, penetration chip seal. Within 1 year of approval by the Board of Supervisors, the owner shall submit certification from a licensed engineer confirming the roadway referred to in Item 1 of the schedule for development was constructed according to standard B penetration chip seal. All lots shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to development of any of the existing parcels. The owner applicant will submit a letter from the irrigation district to the Department of Development Services confirming that a satisfactory irrigation system is installed and the individual lots will have access to irrigation water. Mr. Chairman, that completes staff's presentation. Are there any questions for staff?
Yes, Commissioner Van Wy.
Sir, reference to the rezoning of this, what is the guarantee that the owner is going to rectify the current conditions as they are? He is currently in violation of several codes as it is. Reference to the storage of the trucks and the barbed wire fencing, all those are in violation of current zoning regulations as they are. So what is the guarantee that he is not going to continue those current violations?
Can we clarify, I mean, he's using it for ag purposes now and it's ag exempt, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, under its current size and use, yes, the property is being used for general agricultural purposes.
So he's not in
The
violation.
use of the property for the storage of trucks can continue. As far as the barbed wire, I believe that that also may be allowed if the property is used for ag purposes, but let me clarify that.
Did you understand that,
It's
Commissioner
not
Van Wy?
presently zoned SR4 right now?
It is, but it's being used for ag purposes, and any 5-acre parcel that's being used exclusively for ag purposes are exempt from planning and zoning ordinances.
Understood.
He's not in violation, we just want to make sure that record is clear.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We may be able to get back to that answer a little later.
Right, I mean, it would be highly unusual to have ag property and not be able to have a barbed wire fence.
I believe it's over 50% usage, which he is over 50% usage, and I'm familiar with the zoning ordinance, so he is correct.
Commissioner McDermott, you can get back to us on that answer of the barbed wire.
Thank you.
Commissioner McDermott.
Couple of questions. Is the irrigation ditch on the east or the west side of the property?
The irrigation ditch is on the east side of the property.
And is that in Unit B irrigation district?
Question. 1 second, Commissioner. Let me see if I can find that. I believe that is in the Yuma Mesa
Mesa?
irrigation.
Mr. Chairman, we can look that up. For now, I can answer the question about the barbed wire. So the use of barbed wire is not allowed in the RA or in other residential zoning districts. So yes, those conditions would have to be rectified as once the new zoning vests, if approved by the Board of Supervisors, or we can address it as a condition.
Understand, but as of today, in the ag exempt, the barbed wire is not a violation.
Right, so Mr. Chairman, what I should do is rephrase my comment saying that if we do approve, he would need to be coming, right, Roger, that's my concern, yes.
I can live with that.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, yeah, if the property is exempt, yes, it can continue to have the barbed wire.
Right, the only thing I'm trying to correct the record is Commissioner Van Wy said he is in violation of several things now, and he named those things. And I just wanted to make sure that the record's clear. He's not in violation under an ag exempt property.
Correct.
Another concern, I don't know how long this north parcel has been used as a truck yard. However, looks to be several trailers and tractors and such. I would hope that there would be some kind of an environmental check. Oil and all kinds of things could have contaminated that. And if you're going to subdivide it into, and an unknowing person is going to be buying this property, I think that there would need to be some kind of at least a declaration that that did exist there on that parcel. Because there's a lot of sensitivity to the environmental issues, and that could be depending on the use of that the buyer decided to use it for. So I would like to see some kind of a notification that that was there.
Mr. Chairman, even if the zoning is approved, if the owner decides not to split the property, then there's, and continue to use it for agricultural purposes, they can continue to have that trucking business on the property. It's only if the property is split and developed for residential purposes.
Yes, but you heard Commissioner McDermott's concern is that if the property is split and if it is to be used as residential, she's concerned about any environmental contamination that might have taken place during the use as an agricultural property. And we don't have any way to address that in planning and zoning ordinances. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chairman, I can check with our environmental health division or environmental programs division to see if that can be addressed through a condition.
My concern is that it's a large part of that parcel. And so it could be either they decide to put the house there, where they put their well, their septic system. There's a lot of things that it could be, it could influence, and if you're trying to landscape or if they decide to put it into agriculture, definitely that would affect the ability for them to grow crops. So it just needs to be. It's like a navigation easement. You know, there would park a lot of trucks here, and there could be a lot of waste.
Commissioner, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Rosales.
I think that's something that would be addressed in their purchase contract. I mean, the buyers have to do diligence. It has sections in it for environmental testing if a buyer requires it. If we were to do that on every parcel in the county, I mean, I don't think there's a mean for us. That's not our, I understand your concern, but that's something that would be between that buyer and the seller with their disclosure statements and what the contract, the ADRE's residential purchase contract or vacant land contract will address. So, I mean, that's my point of view on that.
Do any other commissioners have questions of staff? Or staff, you got a reply? Did you want to reply to something?
Mr. Chairman, the case planner has a reply as far as the irrigation district.
The irrigation district is the Yuma Mesa irrigation district for the subject parcel.
As far as the trucking business, the property owner or the owners would have to comply with environmental regulations regardless of whether we place a condition on the rezoning or not. And it looks like the portion being used for the trucking business is maybe the northern 100 feet of the property, if that much.
Any other commissioners have questions of staff before we go further? If not, would the applicant like to address and here he comes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commissioners. Kevin Dahl with Dahl Robbins and Associates, 1560 South Fifth Avenue. So we're getting used to sitting back there and shaking our head, no, we're good to go. But this one, we didn't have a chance to do that. So we do take exception to parts of all conditions here. Let me explain. So currently, there's an existing ABC road that was placed by the owner on the west road alignment. The condition number 1 talks about adding a 20-foot access easement in addition to an existing 25-foot access easement along the west property line. And condition number 2 requests that a chip seal road be placed on that 20-foot access. So you have 2 roads. You have an existing ABC road and a new chip seal road. Makes absolutely no sense. And then the third item talks about the engineer writing a letter, and it says item 1, it should be item 2, but it's related to 2. It's the chip seal road. So we would take exception to the last part of 1, which requires the 20-foot access, all of 2, and all of 3. So we, when we got the staff report, I believe last Wednesday, we contacted staff. Engineering staff had said it wasn't their concern. It wasn't their condition. So, okay, so whose condition is it? So we called Building and Safety. Building and Safety said, yeah, as long as you have a access, which is ABC, they call it a all-weather access, they were fine. And those representatives are here today. They are in the audience, so, I mean, the engineering staff and the building safety staff. So we're at a loss why we're doing this. So I called the planning director and talked about this, and so there's some confusion here. So it makes no sense to have two roads side by side. The road that is there is an existing all-weather access. It's ABC. There's no reason to have another 20-foot access easement. There's no reason to have another chip seal road built on right next to the same. You'd have a two-lane road. Two-way, I mean, just doesn't make any sense. So if it's not engineering's comment, and it's not building safety's comment, and it's not planning's comment, whose comment is it? So I'd like to, if I could have the commission request clarification from staff. We are absolutely, so we do a lot of these. We do a lot of these land divisions. There is so much inconsistency on this, but this one's consistent. It's two lots. There's an existing ABC road. There's no reason to do anything other than what we're doing right now.
Let's see if we can ask staff when they get through consulting here to address your concerns. Okay, the engineer's going to come forward. Yes, sir.
Mr. Alvarez, Engineering Division. I believe back in '05, the Board of Supervisors adopted a chip seal requirements for rezoning, resulting in a land division when you split in parts, I mean up to 5 parcels, I believe. And we came out with the chip seal standard and also with the gravel standard for land divisions. Now, what you have in front of you is two options. Either if apparently on the west side it's public right-of-way, and the only way he could improve that right-of-way is if he paves the roadway, which is in essence is a 2-100 standard, which is 26 foot wide with 8-foot shoulders on both sides. That's too standard, but it's pavement. The other option is dedicate 20 feet of private easement along the west side of the property, and I believe the requirement is to chip seal that all the way to the north property line.
Wow. So there is an existing road there, but it is on a public right-of-way.
It's public right-of-way. It's public right-of-way, and the only way you could improve that public right-of-way if it's you improve it to county standard, which in essence is a 2-100. It's a pavement, not a chip seal or nor a gravel.
Don't remember us ever having faced this situation before.
Actually, we have, like I said, it was back in '05.
I was just a baby back then.
We all were.
As were we all.
Mr. Chairman, Kevin Dahl here. So just to clarify, so the inconsistency is we have an existing road. We have an existing ABC road. It's an all-weather access road. I can name cases that have been brought before you recently that are an ABC. He talked about another standard, which is an ABC standard. It's a type C road. This existing road is a type C road. It's an all-weather access. There's no reason to be talking about another access easement. I don't care if it's public or private easement. The road is there. It's providing access to these properties. How is he getting back to his back property right now? He's using that road. So there's no reason to add an additional road or an additional easement and a chip seal road. It's a waste of money. It makes no sense. This makes absolutely zero sense. So, you know, you can go back to 2005 and talk about what you want to talk about, but there is a type C road, and that's what we have right now. And there's cases that have just been approved by you not too long ago that required a type C road. So for consistency standards, we need to come to be consistent.
We need to explore that a bit, so maybe we can explore that a bit. Maggie, you have a comment I can see on your face.
Mr.
Go.
Chairman, the reason that staff made the recommendation to improve the ingress and egress easement to a penetration and chip seal standard is because the property is in the PM10 non-attainment area. There is existing public right-of-way dedication along the west boundary of the property. And like the engineer stated, it is improved to a gravel standard. It's up to the commission to keep the condition that it's recommended by staff or remove the condition. But the property is in the PM10 non-attainment area.
Right. The improved public access that's there now, who improved that?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the owner improved it.
So they have made an investment already to access their property. So,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
What property in Yuma County is not in the PM10 attainment area? Yuma County is non-attainment.
Well, Mr. Chairman, everything west of 17E is in non-attainment area. Everything east of the 17E is not in the PM10 area. However, that is the reason why staff made that recommendation. It's up to the commission to keep that condition or remove the condition.
And Mr. Chairman, common sense would say one lot, really? For one lot?
This is interesting. Yes, Commissioner McDermott.
Yeah, I don't know whether the improved road runs out to the north line. If it didn't, it would probably need to, but PM10 is a big problem here. And it is, despite Mr. Charles' assistance, it is in a PM10 area. And we are increasingly having problems with air quality that then affect development and a lot of other stuff. So I've been on this committee for 30 years, so I'm very familiar with it. So
Thank you. Is there any other commissioners who have questions of the applicant? Let me go back to staff. Tell me again the PM10 areas, and is Mr. Dahl's assertion right that we have had several cases like this one that did not require a chip seal road? And which side of the PM10 line were they on?
Mr. Chairman, typically we're on for properties that are in the PM10 area, staff recommends that improvements be made to the access for those properties or for the future access to a penetration and chip seal standard. I don't recall a specific case where that condition was not required. It may have been that staff recommended the condition and the board chose to not require it. Like I said, I don't remember the specific cases. Everything on the west side of Avenue 17E up to County 3rd Street North, I believe, if I remember the boundary right, is in the PM10 non-attainment area.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
All the directions. 17E would be a long ways away from here, 17th Street.
Avenue 17E, which is right around the alignment of the Gila Mountains.
Yeah, it's the overpass, yeah.
So everything
west of the
West
Gilas.
of there.
Okay, so I wasn't, okay, so essentially everything that we deal with in this commission is in the PM10. So I can name 3 right now where there's a gravel road that was placed. And I'm just saying, this makes, we got to be consistent.
Bill, let me go ask you a little further. In those cases, your memory is much better than mine. In those cases, did staff recommend a chip seal road and then it got changed, or did they recommend a ABC gravel road?
Mr. Chairman, it was from the get-go, staff recommended a gravel road, a type C road.
So your contention is that this particular property staff is recommending not consistent with their past recommendations, and you want to make sure that there's consistency.
I'm gonna start watching. Yes, yes.
Anyone else have questions? We'll call you back if we need anything, any other questions answered. This is a public hearing, and we will open the public hearing portion of the case, rezoning case 22-03 now, and ask if there's anyone in the audience here that would like to speak concerning this rezoning case, either for or against. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing portion of rezoning case 22-03. Come back to the commissioners for discussion, action, questions.
If I may, I think the issue here is an additional 20 feet that they're asking for the access. I mean, if there's already, I've seen us approve a lot of these where there's already a public road, and we've required that gravel because there wasn't any gravel there. This one already has it there. It has the ABC already in place. I think that's where the staff is trying to do differently there. So I would be fine with doing a motion to pass it without the 20 feet addition requirement.
So what the applicant is requesting is that we modify condition number 1 and eliminate condition number 2 and number 3, which would go along with that. Any other commissioners have comments? Is there a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rosales,
I second it.
with a second by Commissioner Bowers, to recommend approval of rezoning case 22-03. And included in that motion is to remove the requirement of the additional 20-foot access and the chip seal and items number 2 and 3 in the recommendations. So item number 4 would remain unchanged. Is there any discussion on the motion and the second?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, the motion is to approve and to delete items 1, 2, and 3 of the schedule for development.
That, yes, it would, I think we could delete all of number 1. Number 1 was to be modified, I think.
Mr. Chairman, number 1 talks about a land division, so we want to.
Which is the last-
We're keeping part of number 1.
There's a 20 feet add-on at the last sentence.
We're eliminating the extra 20-foot additional. So the motion maker has clarified his motion that it just modifies number 1 to delete the 20-foot access requirement and eliminates items 2 and 3. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
So the 2 nays are Commissioner Van Wy, Commissioner McDermott. The rest are all ayes. So the recommendation will go forward to the Board of Supervisors as made. Next item on tonight's agenda, item number 5. 12 East Phase 2 Subdivision, modification of Yuma County subdivision regulations. Colvin Engineering Incorporated, representing Speedia, I can't say this one right, Speedia Holding LLC, request a modification from Yuma County subdivision regulations. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Mr. Chairman, this one, it goes concurrently with the next item on the agenda, which is the actual subdivision.
We'd open that one as well.
Yes, please.
We will also open item number 6, 12 East Subdivision, Phase 2, tentative map approval.
Thank you,
Staff
Mr. Chairman.
report.
First, here is a request for one modification from section 4.12C of the Yuma County Subdivision Regulations for the proposed 12 East Phase 2 subdivision located in the Foothills Planning Area at the vicinity of the northeast corner of Scottsdale Drive and 34th Place. This is the vicinity map that shows parcel 117 crosshatch zone RVS. And the modification is to the intersection corners. It is requested by the developer to provide 20 by 20 chamfers throughout the subdivision. The engineering department is recommending denial of this request. The chamfers are required to ensure proper line of sight distances, especially along local collector streets. In this case, more critical is New Sun Avenue. And this map shows the red-lined affected chamfers. Staff is recommending denial of the modification requested by the developer. And I'll proceed with the subdivision, the tentative map. The request is for the approval of the tentative map for the proposed 12 East Phase 2 subdivision consisting of 46 residential lots, zone RVS. And again, property is located in the Foothills Planning Area at the corner of Scottsdale Drive and 34th Place. The vicinity map again shows the property zone RVS, parcel 117, surrounded by existing subdivisions to the north, to the south, a RV park to the east, and some open desert to the immediately to the west. This is the proposed tentative map that shows the proposed layout, streets. And the staff is recommending approval of the tentative map for the 12 East Phase 2 subdivision, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that all modifications requested by the developer shall be approved by the Board of Supervisors. If any of the requested modifications are denied, the tentative map shall be revised to meet the requirements of the subdivision regulations. The revised tentative map shall be submitted to the planning director within 30 days of board action on the requested modifications. Number two, developer must satisfy all ADQ approvals at the time of the final plat is submitted for review. And number three, within 3 years of tentative map approval, the developer shall record the final plat. And that concludes the staff's presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Do any commissioners have questions of staff on either of these two items?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mohart.
I believe we had the same modification in Phase 1 of this development. Is that true? And I believe we approved the 20
Yes.
feet at that time in Phase
Mr.
1.
Chairman, that is correct.
Okay. My second question would be Board of Supervisors. Did they approve that as well? That modification?
They would, Mr. Chairman, the board would have to approve the modifications.
Okay. Just want to get it out front there.
Did they approve it for phase 1?
Yes, the board approved for Phase 1.
Commissioner McDermott.
The standard camphor is 25 by 25.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
These are RVs, and people don't, they're big, and you can't see around them, and by, on corners, particularly the interior corners, trying to see what's coming and what's not. I would not approve the deviation from the standard. People run into each other in the middle of nowhere, much less in an RV.
Now, it is a subdivision. You're familiar. You're aware of that. It's not a park.
Does a subdivision mean that they have to be permanently attached?
I believe the desire here is to build homes. And
Why is it an RV subdivision?
well, it's a
That's what
favorable
they're
zoning category, and we do a lot of those in RV subdivisions that they still build.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it's the intent of the developer to develop the subdivision for site-built homes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it gives them some different setback requirements, but most of the RV subdivision
Approval for single-family homes.
and the foothills.
We're going to
area-
have 60 or 70 cars in there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were clear. It wasn't big RVs that were going to be used in these properties. Well, that's true. They could. Did you have a question?
No.
No.
No, I was thinking something else. I was like, well, even if we had 30-foot, what are they called, chafers, or what are they called? Chambers? RV drivers still decide to pull up into a drive-through and take half of the building. So it doesn't matter at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
common sense sometimes kicks in there for them.
Yeah,
I was
Dairy-
thinking of that Dairy Queen
Dairy
thing.
Queen's not the place, right? Do any other commissioners have questions of staff? If not, does the agent want to make some statements?
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, my name is Craig Colvin, Colvin Engineering, 6105 East Alyssa Lane in Yuma. Yes, this is exactly the same thing we're doing in the first phase. It's about to sell out. The homes are very popular in town, and so it's the same type of homes, pretty much the same models that are going in. It's a very popular subdivision just to the north. Continuing it to the south, same chamfers. The issue with the chamfers, two items, is the construction standard for the actual roadway where you drive is exactly the same. It's a 25-foot radius, just like all the other subdivisions. So the chamfer doesn't change the actual driving radius of the roadways at all. The other reason we're doing this, because we do a lot of work in the city as well, and they're down to 15-foot chamfers are what the city requires. They do have a building setback site distance, and these all have a 25-foot site distance from where the walls are built. So you still have that same building, but more of the lot is in the ownership and not in the county. So it's just more taxable land instead of being in the private. So that's what we're doing. It's a lot closer to what we do in the city. So it's 20 and not 15 like we do in the city. And the road standards are all the same. Just one correction on it, in the little knuckle there, we're not requesting a deviation from the standard on that. That will still be a 25-foot chamfer required by the knuckle. So any other questions, Mr. Chairman?
Any commissioners have questions of the agent? If we do, we'll call you back up, huh? All right, thank you. We will open now the public hearing portion of these items. That's the subdivision modification request and the tentative map request. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak concerning either of these two agenda items, either for or against? Time's up. We will close the public hearing portion of item number 5 and item number 6, and come back to the commissioners for discussion and action concerning item number 5 first, the modification request.
Commissioner, if I may, I make a motion to, what am I trying to motion? Approve it with the changes to the request, approve the request to the 20-foot.
To approve the request. So we have a motion by Commissioner Rosales to recommend approval of the
Deviation, there you go.
of the modification of subdivision regulations. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second by Commissioner Bowers. Discussion. Any discussion among commissioners on the motion and the second to recommend approval of the subdivision modification request? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The recommendation to the supervisors on item number 5, the modification request for 12 East Subdivision Phase 2, is unanimous approval, or recommendation unanimously to approve. Item number 6, the tentative map. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
That we approve the tentative map, item number 6.
Commissioner Van Wy has moved that we approve the tentative map as presented, seconded by Commissioner McDermott. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Yeah. If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The recommendation is unanimous to recommend approval of the tentative plat for 12 East Phase 2 subdivision. Next item on the agenda, the addendum. On tonight's agenda, the Ravines 2A and 2B subdivision modification request, regulation
Chairman,
request.
can you also please open the tentative map?
We will open also item number 2 on the addendum, the Ravines 2A and 2B subdivision tentative map for discussion, and ask staff for a report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Chairman.
members of the commission.
Just a moment, we need,
I need to recuse myself from these two addendum items. I'm currently employed by the agent for the owner.
let the record show that Commissioner Mulhern has declared a conflict in these items, item number 1 and 2 on tonight's addendum, and will not participate in discussion or action on these items. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Javier Barraza, senior planner, presenting modifications of subdivision regulations for the Ravines 2A and 2B subdivision. This is a request for 5 modifications from the Yuma County subdivision regulations. Item A, according to Yuma County subdivision regulations, section 4.15D, perimeter roads, the developer is requesting not to improve County 12 3/4 Street per the requirement, also not to improve Avenue 14 3/4 E per the requirement. The developer stated that it's not, the rationale is the developer is not proposing any improvements since surrounding developments have not provided for a street on this alignment. The engineering department recommends approval of this request since there are no existing dedications, no road improvements along the alignment. This is the vicinity and zoning map showing crosshatch the subject parcel, parcel 9, where the subdivision is proposed. And highlighted in yellow are the mentioned alignments. Item B, Yuma County subdivision regulations, section 4.15C, perimeter roads. The developer requests not to improve County 12.5 Street per the requirement. Same rationale as before. The engineering department recommends approval of this request. Again, vicinity and zoning map showing the alignment of County 12.5 Street highlighted. Item C, section 4.15D, perimeter roads. The developer requested not to improve Avenue 15E per the requirement. The developer is not proposing any improvements since current improvements exist and easily accommodate current traffic plus proposed development. Avenue 15E will be widened at the New Street intersection. The engineering department recommends approval of this request. Avenue 15E is paved roadway, 26 feet in width. Currently, there is no streetlights along the alignment. The traffic impact study will address the required road improvements. Highlighted in yellow is the alignment of Avenue 15E. Item D, section 4.7 blocks. The developer requests having longer block lengths, in some cases exceeding 500 feet. The maximum length is 1,200 feet. The developer is proposing traffic calming devices at every 800 feet. The engineering department recommends approval of this request since there will be introducing traffic calming devices at every 800 feet. Along with that, staff recommends approval of the request modifications. I will continue with the tentative map for the Ravines 2A and 2B. The request is the approval of the tentative map for the proposed Ravines 2A and 2B subdivision that consists of 336 lots, zone RVS, located in the planning area west of Avenue 15E and County 12.5 Street, as shown on the zoning map. Mr. Chairman, this belongs to the previous presentation. Highlighted in yellow are the blocks that exceed the 1,200. They got shuffled. Staff recommends approval of subject to the following conditions. Approval of the tentative map. Within 60 days of board approval, a navigation disclosure statement shall be recorded by the applicant. Developer must satisfy all the ADEQ approvals at the time of the final plat is submitted for review. Developer must satisfy all the Yuma County Flood Control District requirements for final plat approval. Number 4, developer must satisfy all Yuma County Engineering Department requirements at the time of the final plat is submitted for review. 5, mail delivery shall be coordinated with the U.S. Postal Service. Number 6, if any of the requested modifications are denied, the tentative map shall be revised to meet the requirements of the subdivision regulations. The revised tentative map shall be submitted to the planning director within 30 days of board's approval, board's action. Number 7, a traffic impact study shall be completed in accordance with Yuma County Public Works Standards, Volume 1, Section 7.3, Guidelines for Traffic Studies. The developer shall construct all required improvements. The traffic impact study will be managed by the county and will solicit bids. Number 8, within 3 years of approval, the developer must submit the final plat for approval by the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Chairman, this concludes staff's presentation.
Good. Do any commissioners have questions of staff before we go to the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Montgomery.
Would you put the map up, please, that has the roads delineated that they want to use? There you go.
Which one? The one, could you please clarify which map you want to see, Commissioner?
I think she wants to see.
In the upper, on the left side there. Because if there's not a yellow line, then there's not a road, is that what it is? Or did
No.
you just not put them all in?
Yeah, that's correct. Due to the lack of space on the sheet, they did it like that. It just
So everybody, how many lots are we talking?
336.
Going to come in that one little entrance, right off of Avenue, County 15?
One from county, they got 2 points of entry, one from Avenue 15E, and the other one along the alignment on the south, Avenue 14.5E. I'm sorry, yes.
Is that shown on the map?
None on this one. Yeah, I can show that, but since the crosshatch right here, I don't have the actual plat on this vicinity zoning map, but if you see that little leg at the bottom, that's how it's going to be connected on the south. And close to the alignment of Avenue 12.5 Street and Avenue 15E is where the other entrance is going to be located. Also, I think it also connects through internal road with the subdivision on the north.
Is this a housing subdivision, stick-built?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
I think it'll come back to haunt us.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the zoning of this is recreational vehicle subdivision. I don't think they are restricted to site-built homes only. It depends on how they.
Deed restrictions, yeah.
Yes, it depends on the wording in the deed restrictions.
Yes.
However, there, like the case planner stated, there's access along the east off of Avenue 15E and along the south, along the west through the alignment of Avenue 14.5E.
I'll ask the agent how many lots he's going to set aside for manufactured housing for us. Is there any other commissioners have questions of staff before we go forward? If not, does the agent want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, planning commissioners. So this is Unit 2 of the Ravines. There's 3 units, 1, 2, and 3. This is a different developer than the developer that started Ravines 1. It was sold, and these are stick-built homes. Sorry.
I kind of knew that.
And so, yeah, the access is 3 points of access. There's an existing connection to Las Barrancas as well. So there's good access, good accessibility. We appreciate staff's help on this and getting to this point. I do have 2 concerns, though, and I think you know what they are. So we are opposed to the traffic study for the following reasons. There was a traffic study prepared on this property by the previous engineer for the previous owner. And those conditions, all of those conditions in that study have been applied to the existing roadway system. The density of this property is less than the density that was contained in the traffic study. So why are we doing a traffic study on top of a traffic study? Secondly, we negotiated with staff, at least I negotiated with staff in good faith, that we agreed to widen, for safety purposes, the access on 15E in exchange for doing a traffic study at a cost of probably $100,000. So we could have rolled the dice and did a traffic study, maybe not did the improvements on 15E, but we feel it's safe. You know, it's always safe. Safety is always the #1 concern. So we feel that we've done everything we need to do to get this subdivision off the ground without doing a traffic study. The traffic study is a crystal ball. It's worthless. And it's been done. It's been done. So we've done studies. We've done traffic studies all of our career. And I can tell you the improvements that need to be done without doing a traffic study. In this case, they've all been done. They've all been addressed. So we would respectfully request Commission's consideration of eliminating the traffic study in the intent of the map and the traffic study reference in the modifications.
Does the traffic study consider all three stages, all three developments?
Traffic study that's on record at staff was from, I believe, Avenue 15E to 14E, from 40th Street to, I don't know how far north it went, but it was a large area. It included the ravines, it included other developments that were going on by the previous owner, by the previous engineer for that owner.
Chairman, how long ago was that study?
What year was that study done?
So I believe the study was in the early 2000s, 2005 probably. But again, it's the improvements that were required for this area have been implied. Studies don't expire.
So the land use hasn't changed, and when the first study was done, the traffic study, all of this RVS subdivision, I mean, it was assumed that all of these properties was going to be developed as RVS subdivision, since that's all he was developing at the time.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct. And actually, these lots are bigger than an RV.
Then they have to be. So your contention is that study, I mean, cars are the same size, and it should be the same today as it was back then.
Well, so I guess I go back to our agreement, our word. We do the improvement on 15E, we don't need to do a study because we've already done a study. So we've gone above and beyond. We did the study, plus we did additional improvements above and beyond the study. To me, that's a gentleman's agreement.
Any other commissioners? Any commissioners have questions of the agent?
What type of improvements were done?
Under the 2005 study?
As far as Kevin refers back to some improvements that he had done. What improvements are you referring to?
I think Commissioner Van Wy's question is that you stated that the 2005 or 6, whenever the first traffic study was done, recommended improvements, and they've all been done.
Chairman, that is correct. And I cannot remember all the improvements, but there were intersection improvements, there was roads. Staff might be able to allude more than I can. They were directly involved with it, but those improvements have been completed.
So everything that was required of the initial traffic study has been accomplished.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Commissioner McDermott.
Yeah, that driving through the terraces with a view is like a nightmare, and this is like 3 times as bad, but with the lack of roads. But it just is. It seems illogical. But I'm just concerned that it will come back to haunt us once we get all of those lots sold and all of the cars in there and people.
And your concern is, again, the 3 entrances?
I just don't think there's enough access or ingress and egress
3.
for the number of people and vehicles that are going to be in there. We have a habit of kind of underestimating the impatience of the American driver.
But if I understand, those are in compliance. I mean, those 3, I mean, they meet the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, it's been 16 years.
No, not that it doesn't. It's not that it meets the traffic study. It meets the zoning ordinance. Our zoning
Standard.
Our zoning standards. Yeah.
As it relates to egress, right?
Right. So, I mean, for us to require one developer to do more than we would other developers would probably not hold up well. It makes some folks mad. Probably not Kevin, but other folks. Is there any other questions of the applicant? Let me go to staff and can I, oh, did you have, yes?
I guess it's more of a comment. I agree with the good old boy handshake deals. However, with this, is there anything more further documented with that agreement that would be accepted going forward?
So we've put that in, Mr. Chairman, we put that on the plan and submitted it. So it's documented as widening is part of the tentative map, will be part of the improvement plans. So it's documented. It's not just hearsay, it's documented. And one more comment, if I could please, before you. So they have a 3-year time limit on the condition for the tentative map for a final plat to be filed. You know, the first final plat will be filed immediately, or as fast as we can file it, as fast as we can go through these conditions. 2B could be a number of years. So could we request an additional time on that so we're not held against that?
So let me make sure that what you're suggesting that the traffic study be eliminated, that requirement, and you're suggesting that the 3-year drop dead date be extended.
Mr. Chairman?
Eliminate, yeah. There was another item though, I believe.
Arturo Alvarez, Engineering Department. In response to his last question regarding the number of years, if the development is phased, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., it's 5 years. But if it's one subdivision, then it's 3 years. So if it's going to be phase 1 and phase 2 final plats, then it will be 5 years. And there's no extensions on those anymore. So if he doesn't comply within the 5th, at the end of the term, that he would have to submit everything again. Now, going back to the original question of the traffic study, we've been doing this for many years, and that's just a condition. We're always willing to work with the developer. In lieu of the traffic study, he'll provide road improvements. But us in the county, our engineering staff, would like to have that in writing. So then after this gets approved, he'll submit the improvement plans, and if he includes the left or turning lanes on the on 15E, we'll waive the traffic study. We've been doing this for many years.
So you're planning to honor the agreement,
Yes,
just not tonight?
Yes, I always honor my agreements. Yes. But like I said, we like to have it in writing.
I gotcha. So this is a real poker game here.
Who gives more?
I see you and call you, right? Okay. So if I understand right, you're saying that the commission or the board of supervisors have no choice. Somehow we've locked ourselves in, and there is a 5-year requirement, and there's no way we can lengthen that.
According to the subdivision regulations, it states if it's phased, it's 5 years.
And then you went on to say there's no extensions.
I believe, no. On this new regulations, there's no extensions. And the old ones, there were. I'm talking about many years ago.
Many years ago?
I guess the question is, Mr. Chairman, are they planning to do this in phases, or are you planning to do this as in 2 phases? So is the 5 years not long enough? No? I mean...
Mr. Chairman, I guess if it's 5 years and it's in code, we have no choice.
Right.
It is what it is, and we'll have to make sure it happens in 5 years.
So we had the traffic study, sir, and we had the 3 years that we were able to get to 5 for you. See how we helped you out there? Wasn't there one? Wasn't there one more item that you had?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, there's the modifications reference the traffic study. So the modifications would eliminate the requirement for a traffic study and be approved. If you look at the modification request on Avenue 15E, it references a traffic study. So that modification would need to be modified to say it's approved without a requirement for a traffic study.
Even on the modification?
Even on the modification.
Is there a reason for, that seems kind of, the staff, is there a reason why a traffic study may be required on the modification of Avenue 15E?
No, it was just a response
Response,
that
right.
said that
Okay.
we're waiving we're approving the modification not to improve 15E. The improvements along 15E is different from the traffic study, but for us to waive that modification, not for him to improve the arterial road, said, well, since he's going to do a traffic study, hence turning lanes, we're willing to waive the modification.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that he meant to say the traffic study can be waived depending on the improvements that they propose for this subdivision.
Yes, we always waive that. I mean, that's, yeah.
Okay, and they have already proposed the improvements, right?
Just when we review a tentative map, it's just the concept of the subdivision. We don't cross the T's, dot the I's, but we look at the submittal and say, okay, that looks adequate for the tentative map. Whatever's approved here at the board level, then he needs to submit that in improvement plans. But like I stated, I agree with Kevin already that we'll waive the traffic impact study.
Turning lanes put in.
I think I've got what you're saying, and you don't have any objection to removing the reference to a traffic study from the subdivision regulation modification.
Yeah, I don't have no issues.
Okay. So we got from 3 years to 5 years, we got the modification rewritten to take out traffic study, and now you two guys are standing there saying, I want it now, and he's saying, I want to give it to you after a while.
So we've got it on record in this meeting. We've got a submitted tentative map. If I don't do it on the final plans, I'm not getting my final plans approved. So there's nothing magic here. Just lose the traffic study. We've already agreed to it. We don't have to have any later discussions. We're done. We're agreed to do it. It's on record. We're not going to get our plans approved if we don't do it.
So as Mr. Engineer, you are, the way he did his tentative is what you would require to waive the traffic study.
You're doing a left and right turn on the entrance?
We're doing left and right turn on the entrance.
Yeah. I have it on record, so you can take it out.
Gotcha. All right.
And then we'd be coming to negotiation board here.
Yes,
No fight tonight.
we have won.
And if I may
We
comment,
make a motion
Commissioner.
on that.
Yeah, Commissioner Rosales.
I was gonna say, we see this a lot of cities on these too. Our staff always requires, the traffic study requirement, but then again, that's to protect. I mean, I get it, and sometimes it frustrates the developers because they think, oh, I don't need it, but it's just the process. It's a writing and to get everything on the record. So it's a process that we go through.
We never know when one of those
Yeah.
out-of-town engineers or out-of-town developers might try to take advantage of
Yeah.
us. So they protect us from that. All right. Any other questions from commissioners? Then we need to open the public hearing portion, huh? Yes, the public hearing portion of these two items. The Ravines 2A and 2B modification of subdivision regulations and the tentative plat.
You guys got this thing at 70 degrees. I'm sorry. It's crazy in here.
That's why I wear a jacket every time. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak concerning either of these two agenda items, either for or against? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting.
You sure he's not speaking on the airport dude?
We'll embarrass him later.
All right.
And we'll come back to the commissioners for discussion and action. First, on the Ravines 2A, 2B subdivision modification request. We have a recommendation by staff to approve all of the modification requests, including removing the reference to a traffic study. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the 2A and 2B subdivision request, minus the modifications with traffic study to include the left and right turn lane on 15E as discussed in the poker game.
On the record, we have a long motion by Commissioner Van Wy to accept staff's recommendation and waive the modifications, recommend approval of the modification waivers as requested, including the removal of reference to a traffic study. And we have a second by Commissioner Allen. Okay. Any discussion on the motion and the second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The recommendation is unanimous. Next, we'll have discussion and action on the Ravines 2A, 2B subdivision tentative map. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I, again, move that we accept the map as presented.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Van Wy with a second by Commissioner McDermott to recommend approval of the subdivision tentative map for Ravines 2A and 2B as recommended by staff.
Yes.
With the change in item number 8 to say 5 years from date of approval for the second
If done in phase. I think that comes automatic with the way he does the mapping.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if the subdivision is phased, it's automatic. It's a 5-year requirement. Does the motion include deleting item number 7?
The traffic study.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
As recommended, yes. As agreed to by the handshake in public. Yes, it does. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the subdivision or of the tentative map as presented and modified by the commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Recommendation is unanimous to recommend approval. Next item on tonight's agenda is discussion by the commission members, planning director, of any events attended, any current events, a schedule of future planning meetings. Does anyone have anything to offer?
No, Mr. Chairman, as of today, there are no cases scheduled for the April Planning and Zoning Commission's meeting, so there may not be a meeting in April.
We'll keep watching for that. We know if there is a meeting scheduled, Amber will email us and she will call us, and then she'll call us again.
And again.
And if there's nothing else, this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all.
You.